you guys. Well, always farmed organically, oh yes, yeah. And I'm a great lover of organic swamps. We cleared our swamp up on the mountain. We had one organic swamp up there and we cleared it. And I'll tell you, I grew head lettuce, New York head lettuce that you wouldn't believe. I don't know how many pounds they weighed, but they were just enormous and beautiful.
When they started coming out with all these pesticides and chemicals, did you ever think to use them? Or
I never used them.
Was that a conscious decision, or
well,
you just never needed
yes
them,
and no. I was very reluctant to poison any plant that an animal might eat. And I mean, you can't always control your spray onto just what you want to kill, you know.
So maybe having the animals with all the rich manure, plus being concerned
Oh,
about
yes.
their health, kept you
yes.
organic as much
Oh
as
yes,
anything.
definitely. There was no need to put money out to buy chemical fertilizer. One day, I think, I really believe this, I don't want to be a prophet of gloom and doom, but I believe that the North American continent may be faced with famine. Not in my time, but maybe in some of these young people's time.
Powerful and exciting and
That was in 1934. No, 33 we moved to Grouse Nest. Then we were paying a big rent there, so we wanted a piece of land of our own. So we found that this mountain, we rode up on our horses one day to find our missing sheep, and we found this beautiful view up on the mountain. So we decided we were going to try and buy that piece of land, and we bought it, 450 acres. Yeah, and so we went farming from there on.
Now, did you have a crew of labor up on the...
No, I had no crew of labor up on there. I did that all by myself. Once in a while in the summer holidays I'd hire a little 12-year-old kid to come and help me plant and things like that, but I did all the heavy work. I've got photographs of that old homestead where we cleared the garden, the first garden that we cleared, and we got a neighbor to come with this 20% stumping powder and blow the stumps out, and I pulled the stumps out with the old Nash roaster and the blot and tackle. Yeah. But up there we had 3 gardens on the mountain, an early garden, a main garden, and a late one in the swamp. And by the time we got the early one planted, then we went and planted the medium garden, and then when that was planted, we went down in June and planted the swamp. So we had a never-ending supply of vegetables for the house. We didn't sell them in those days. Very few were sold, mostly eaten. And we canned meat, we canned venison, we canned our turkeys. We had turkeys and pheasants and guinea fowl and chickens. And it was a continual battle with hawks and owls and those kind of things, you know. Couldn't get away from it. They were right there on top of us. So one day I counted the number of quarts of canned goods that we had in the basement, and I got just over 400. And that would be enough to have lived on for a year.
You were self-sufficient then?
Yeah, we were self-sufficient. And then my brother was a commercial fisherman, and he'd bring us 75 pounds of salmon in an ice box. And he'd say, have it all in bottles before tomorrow morning. So we'd spend the night up canning salmon. But it was all very wonderful, you know, and we were self-sufficient. Yeah. And it was great. We lived like fighting cocks, I'll tell you. And my husband used to say, I have dined with royalty, and he said, they're not sitting down to a meal as good as we've got on our table right now. Yeah. So we were all really very healthy and happy.
How about now, Joan? Are you self-sufficient now on this farm?
Oh yes, I grow everything I need here. I've got my own meat and my own vegetables, and not my own fish, but I trade vegetables for fish to people who can fish.
And do you sell any of your produce now?
Oh, I sell all my vegetables. I have to earn $2,600 every year now to keep my land on farm taxes. That's why I'm farming, is to keep my land on farm taxes, because that big piece of mountain up there, I'll tell you, if it ever went on residential, I'd just have to give it away to the first person. I wouldn't be able to afford it. So it's on farm taxes at the moment.
And eventually, if I ever do get a piece of land, I don't think I will, but if I do...
11 with Jennifer Crosby. Good evening. A timetable has been set to try to resolve a native land claim that's affecting businesses in Metchosin. The dispute is over Yates Road. It's a piece of dirt road leading into a firing range and a paintball field. The Beecher Bay First Nation claims the road is on their land, so they've closed it. CH's Dean Stoltz reports.
For a 3-day native blockade, the sign at the entrance to Yates Road says it all. Beecher Bay natives insist the road runs through their land and is closed to the public.
I know it belongs to the Beecher Bay Reserve, and I've been basically forced to prove that fact.
But the only people using the road are the Yates family, owners of a huge chunk of property in these hills, and 2 businesses that operate on that property, the Wanda Fuca Gun Club and Storm and Norman's Paintball Adventure, which has agreed to pay the band $500 in order to use the road for the next 2 weeks.
Case is one landowner with a dispute with another landowner.
One resolution could see Beecher Bay First Nations buying the Yates property.
Some people seem to think that this is some kind of a race issue.
Unfortunately, there's now an uglier side to this after an unidentified woman left several voicemail messages in the band office late Thursday.
You ruddy Indians with your bloody backup with all this Beecher Bay garbage, clean up your own mess. For crying out loud, don't ask for white man's land when you can't even look after what you've got.
And when you first heard it, what was your reaction?
I was disgusted, very disgusted. Embarrassed to tears almost, like it was just a bad, ugly thing to hear.
And police are shocked too. The RCMP now investigating these messages as a possible hate crime.
The issues out here should in no way provoke an individual to be so disrespectful and to go on and attack a culture that was here long before any other settlers that come to this land. So in my opinion, undeserving.
And police say they intend to find who left the messages and to pursue possible criminal charges.
The 2 sides in this dispute have set a meeting on June 28th as a deadline to resolve this issue. You may not know this, but even if you don't own a piece of land, you can claim the mineral rights to it. All it takes is a miner's license that's easily obtained on the internet. Once you have it, you can buy mineral rights to any land available, even
Island.
Still no resolution to a land dispute in Metchosin that is pitting the Beecher Bay Native Band against a longtime resident. It's over the use of a rural road known as Yates Road that leads to a gun club and a paintball operation. Main Channel's Howard Markson joins us now with more on what's behind this. Howard.
Hudson, the disputed road itself is little more than a backwoods dirt track, but it leads to 2 activities that the Beecher Bay Band finds disturbing. And now they're trying to assert what they feel is their right to control the access.
This gate is open now.
Beecher Bay Band Chief Russell Chips removes a chain across a road that runs through their territory. He wants to show that the band is willing to come to a deal over the use of the access road. On Tuesday, Chips and members of his band set up a blockade to stop people from using the road to access a property known as Lot 104. Part of the property, owned by the Yates family, has been used for Storm and Norman's paintball adventures, as well as the Wanda Fuca Gun Club. But it's all quiet now, and the band says their rights haven't been considered in the use of the road. The Native Band has no issue with the fact that the paintball field and the gun club are on the Yates property. But they insist that the access road is theirs, and they say that they have documentation from a surveyor that shows that this is where their property ends.
We know we own the road. We have facts that we own the road, and we're not going to let anybody else say that we don't.
But Chief Chips is dealing with a formidable opponent. The Yates have owned their piece of land since 1934, and Joan Yates, now in her 90s, is famous in the area as the feisty cougar lady who has bagged over 30 cougars. She says the road, called Yates Road, is public.
I'm sure we've got enough government proof of registered papers by the government of BC and the federal government to prove that that's a public road and they do not have a right to close it.
Caught in the middle of it all is Stormin Norman and his paintball adventures. He says he will not let his business suffer as a result of this land dispute.
This is not going to take us out of business. We've been in business for 24 years. We will simply find another course, which is already in motion, and we will be setting up a new paintball field.
But the native blockade earlier this week has sparked some heated calls to the band office, including this one received today.
Probably got dead kids and freezers too. For crying out loud, don't ask for white man's land when you can't even look after what you've got.
But the chief says this is not about natives versus non-natives.
This is not about race. This is about a landowner beside another landowner with a road in question.
The two sides in this land dispute are scheduled to meet again at the end of this month to see if they can work out a compromise. Until then, gate or no gate, this road will remain off limits unless the band gives its approval.
And Hudson, in spite of some hard feelings in parts of the community, the Beecher Bay Band says it's committed to resolving the dispute by legal means and that the band does not want any confrontations or violence.
All right, we'll keep an eye on the story. Howard, thank you. Howard Markson reporting. Theft on construction sites is happening all over the province. The industry is booming in BC, and with it comes theft from